about Rails engines. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna stop talking now and do this map.
Hey everybody, my name is Baegis, and I work at Placewise. We do websites for shopping malls. Tonight I want to talk to you about Rails engines and how they can really help organize your code. So we're going to introduce engines. We're going to introduce Megabar, which is a project I'm working on, kind of the next generation of a system that I've used to support, hundreds of websites, hundreds of pages on hundreds of websites with hundreds of models in the past. But this will be, I'm working on like the brand new Rails version of this. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to show how to create and mount an engine and a gem. We're going to give a little detail about generators and specs and things. And then at the end, I might see if any of you are interested in helping with the Megabar open source project. Because it's a fun project and we'd like to move it along. There's a lot to do and we could use some help. So engines are really about being able to reuse code and being able to keep code that you can use in a number of different Rails applications. What if you want to have functionality that you want to share across multiple Rails apps? Engines give you many of the benefits of component-based architecture without breaking Rails patterns. Organizations are using multiple engines at a time to separate different groups of their codes for use in any of their new apps that they tend to use. It helps compartmentalize code, and you can share it among your apps. Some examples of Rails engines are Devise, which most people have heard about, which offers flexible authentication solutions for Rails users, and use it with Rollify or some other gems to get roles and things like that. Forum is an engine that adds a forum system to a Rails app. Spree is a fully functional e-commerce platform. Dashboard reads through all your controllers and extracts views that are candidates for being displayed on a dashboard. So if you're looking for a dashboard. Help engine helps you manage and place sensitive help link, context-sensitive help links. Refinery is a CMS. And then there's Megabar, an enterprise-scale website and API building tool. So Megabar gives you central control for multiple sites. For example, if you were running a couple dozen newspaper sites, or a couple dozen real estate sites, or 100 school locations, or anything that might benefit from having some central code, but where you're controlling. A lot of these sites will have much of the same content, but want to be able to customize at any level, any page, any level, and organizing that kind of stuff can be challenging. And I think a lot of us are familiar with making Rails apps with a model or two, but how many of us have really gotten to the point of managing hundreds of sites off of a Rails app, or even one? It can be tough. So that's what Megabar is trying to do, is to make that easy. We enable GUI-based support for creating models and pages and sites and themes. So you can end up with hundreds of models and hundreds of pages and hundreds of sites and multiple themes with a single instance of Megabar. Or you can just use it for making your life easy with a couple models on just one site. Saves programmers time, lets non-programmers create MVC units through GUIs, including adding fields and tables and fields to tables, dries up your controllers to almost nothing while allowing for custom business logic should you ever need it, manages all the steps and in the basic steps of adding fields to controllers, views, and specs. And it provides standard forms, indexes, edit links, all the kind of stuff you'd expect from a regular Rails app. Here's a nice fun picture of some Ducati engines because we're talking Rails engines and might as well see some engines. Okay, so let's start an engine. This is how you would go ahead and start your engine in Rails. From the command line, you're going to issue something like Rails plugin new, and ours was called Megabar. So Megabar -T mountable full. So that's going to create a whole little mounted or a whole engine for you, a whole Rails plugin engine. A lot of times you'll see the code and they'll have you do this dummy path segment on your command, but I did not do that because I wanted to use a different gem for managing my specs called combustion. The way Rails sets up the basic generator for creating a plugin like this will set up a full dummy structure of a Rails app, including your app folder and your controllers and your models. And I didn't really think I would need that. It's really only if you're needing, you want to work with stuff that's not part of your engine that you end up needing to put stuff in there. So with the combustion gem, I'll talk about it a little bit more later, that simplifies that quite a bit. So anyways, you run this Rails plugin new command and you can see what happens. It creates your README, your rig file, your gem spec file, your license file, your gitignore file, a gem file, and we can talk a little bit about the difference between the gem spec and the gem file. The gem spec is used to define your gem and kind of the dependencies of other gems within your gem, whereas the gem file is going to be used more just for testing. You'll test within your app, within your engine. So when you want to include some gems for testing your engine, you put them in the gem file. But if you need things to make your gem work, you put them in the gem spec. A little bit more on that still too. It's going to create your app folder for your gem, and you can see it's created a application controller that's namespaced in the Megabar directory, an application helper that's namespaced, mailer folder, model folder, and a lot of the stuff you'd see in a regular Rails app, but with this namespace stuff, namespace directories, routes file, lib file, and I'll talk a little bit more about all the rest of this stuff. Okay, so here's the gem spec that I've got together. We're really in the beginning, so I haven't really. Thank you, Tucker. I haven't gotten the full. I'm sure there'll be more gems and stuff as I go, but you can see that this is a typical gem spec file where you have to give your gem a name, a version, authors, email, homepage, summaries. I guess I need to fill out my description a little bit better. What your license is, and then you get to here's where you can include gems for your engine. And I'm obviously I got Rails. I need seeds. I need bundler. I'm doing testing with Capybara, combustion, cucumber. You need rake. You need RSpec, simplecov to help you figure out how much are you doing with your tests. A database. Probably switch over to Postgres down the line pretty quickly. Factor Girl, iBug I've been liking quite a bit for debugging, and Support Rails, Webmock. Maybe someone can tell me what those are. Okay, so here's a typical example of a controller that we're using for Megabar, and we have a model called Fields. And so this is the controller for the Fields controller, and you can see it's in the app controllers Megabar Fields controller.rb. And once again, the Megabar namespace is important. All of your models and controllers will be namespaced like that. And pretty simple here. We've got 3 lines, 5-line controller, and that's going to actually work to run the whole the whole controller with all the edits, saves, deletes, create updates, indexes, and shows. And the model here is, just this is our model display model, and this kind of indicates that you can do whatever you'd like to with your model. If you want to rename the table, which I need to here because it's namespaced, belongs to, has many, validates presence of, you can add some scopes and things like that, and whatever you need to do to get your models work. Megabar doesn't have any opinions about that. It just beyond that, it's a blank slate. So those are just some examples of the basic controllers and models. To get your engine